Hi, welcome back to Intro to 3D. My name is Kim Edwards. So today we're going to do some modeling, and we're going to be looking at using curves to create the profile for an object, which is an easy way of modeling things. So if you have a look at your reference folder, we're doing a kind of groovy lamp that's based on a house design. And there's plenty of reference there to kind of get an idea of how it's constructed. So first thing we'll do is we'll bring one of these references into the viewport to have a look at. So perhaps Goodnight lamp number 5 is a good one to bring in. So we will do that first. So we go create free image plane and go to the attribute editor, click on the folder icon, and load in that file. So now we've got a good handy little reference in our viewport. So go into our front view now, so just click space, click on my front view, and we're going to construct the basic outline using some curves. So we'll change across to our different context menu that Maya's got for different things, so animation, polygons, surfaces, and we want to go to surfaces. So the shortcut for that is F4. Sorry, here F4, and then surface mode. And inside of here you can see I've got options for editing curves and surfaces and NURBS and things. Also got a curve tab here, and we're going to be working with a type of curve called a Bezier curve. And these are the same type of curves that are used in programs like Photoshop and Illustrator for constructing things. They're really nice and easy to work with. So the way that they work is if you click, you just create a sharp line. If you click and hold, you get these little anchor points that you can use to control how something curves. When you right click, control vertex mode, and you can adjust them further. And if you shift right click them, you can change them after the fact to being curvy or not. So they're really nice tools for getting particular shapes. So we're going to do that, and we're going to use snap to grid up here. So snap to grid, toggle for that is X on the keyboard. So I'm just pressing X to toggle that on and off. So here we go. So we're going to create our basic shape. And I'll adjust it afterwards. I just want to make sure it's symmetrical. When you've finished clicking, so I just held X, so that's snap to grid, I'll press enter. And then I'm going to just move this down. I'm quite convinced about the shape I achieved. So I'll do some adjusting so that looks approximately right. Right, I'll jump back out into my perspective view, and we shall now move these in space. So I'll put this one right to the edge of the grid here, which should be, if you have a look, 12, and then I'll put a second one, a duplicate, so I'll press Control D, or you can go Edit and Duplicate from in here, and hold X, and that will go across to -12. Probably a little bit too thick. Just go back in a little bit, but you can adjust as you feel fit, as you feel free to do. Before I do that, and this is in step 1, we should close these curves. So I'm just going to go to Edit Curves, Close Curves, which puts a little bottom line. Press G for repeat last action. So Edit Curves, Open and Close Curves. Okay, so now we have 2 curves. We can ask Maya to join them together with a surface. So I've got the 2 profile curves there, and what we'll do is we will go over and use a feature called Loft. So over here in this Surfaces menu, I'll select these 2 curves first, just using Shift to do a multiple selection, Go to Surfaces and click on the options next to Loft. Just reset the settings. And we're going to loft this, so by default it'll do it as a NURBS surface, which is something that'll make it more difficult for us to do some of the other features with. So we're going to ask it to convert the initial thing, which it'll do by default, which is a NURBS surface, into polygons. Just undo that. So grab the two and we're going to go to Loft. I'm going to say do it as polygons. We want each polygon face to be just four-sided rather than being made up of triangles. And then we're going to say the tessellation method, the way it's going to turn it into polygons from NURBS, is going to be general. We're going to ask it to, for each CV point, control vertex that we just made, just put one edge, and that will do the trick. So click Loft, and that's our fabulous result. So that's that done. So now we'll clean it up. So that's step 4. So if you need to do any adjustment, this is all now live. So if you need to, you can grab your, I'll just turn off surface selection here. You can grab your actual curves and adjust them should you need to, and it's kind of got a live thing. Once you're happy, just grab your surface and delete the history. So you can see here it's got these inputs, NURBS and Loft, that have made up its construction, which we no longer need. So I'll just delete all that type history. I'll grab the two curves from the outliner and hide them, because might need to do it again for some reason, so I'll just keep them should I need to. Just Control H to hide. And then I'm going to grab this lofted surface, and I'm going to go now to Polygon menu, because it's now polygons. So we'll just go across to the Polygon menu here, and you can see these faces are being shaded slightly strangely. I'm going to go to Normals and go Harden Edge, and that's that taken care of. So the next thing we'll do, just to so that's step 5, just fixing how it's being displayed, is the next thing we'll do is we will have a look at how it's being constructed. So if I go to the face mode, so polygons are made up of verts, and which are single points, and edges, which are edges, and faces. And if you pull faces, we can see what's joined. Now, I know for a fact that I've done this before, that at this point here, these are not actually joined together. So these edges are not connected. You can see up here as well, I've got this little feature on, which is in heads-up display polygon count. If I drag across, say for example verts, these area here, where if it was joined I'd expect there to be 2 verts, you can see it's actually saying it's got 4. So we're just going to ask Maya to just merge them together. So I'll just select the object, go to Mesh, and go to Edit Mesh, and go to Merge, and reset the settings, and then click Apply. And we can see now that that's joined together, which is excellent. So now we'll go into Edge Selection. So I'll press F10, and I'm going to double click on this border area here where there's a hole, and that will select the whole border. Hold Shift and double click on the same on the other side. We'll ask Maya to fill these. So we'll go to Mesh, Fill Hole. So that's nice and neat. And then what we'll do is we will separate these into 2 pieces. So I'll grab this face and grab this face. This is just from face selection mode. Again, go to Mesh, go to Extract, press Q to exit that, and you can see what it's done is it's made a group now that's made up of this face and those 2 that we had selected before. So I'm going to merge these 2 together so they're just treated as one. There's a bit of wooden parts. So just go Mesh, Combine. And then I'm going to delete its history, delete all by type history. Okay, and I'm just going to double click it and call it wood. I'm going to delete the history of my other surface, delete all by type history, and I'm going to call that perspex. And then I'm going to make these all child of a group which was automatically made, which I'm going to rename. I'm just going to call it house large. And there's two ways I can do that. I can select the object that I want to become a child of a group, and then select the group using Control, press P. Or you can click on something, hold down middle mouse, and drag things onto each other. Now I've got the wood, perspex together. So that is excellent. So over to step 7 now. What we're going to do is we want to be able to put a wood texture on these wooden faces. So in order to do that, we've got to tell Maya how to put the image on them. So I'm going to go to Create UVs. We're going to go to Planar Mapping. Again, reset your settings. And we're going to project the images onto these faces from the Z-axis. Project from Z-axis. So this is just telling Maya how we'll put the image on, and then we'll put the image on in the material. Project. And that's done. Then we'll press Q to exit that. Okay, so now I'm going to select the wood over in the outliner, and I'm going to right click over in the viewport, and we're going to make a new material. So a new material which is going to be Blinn, which we shall call wood matte underscore matte. And then we're going to apply a texture to the color attribute. So there's a little swatch here. Click on that. In the Create Render Node window, we'll choose File. And then we'll load in by clicking on the folder icon here, File tab, a texture, which is just a square picture of a walnut wood photo that I found. Click on Open. And if you've got textures on a new viewport, you'll be able to see that being applied to both your faces. Excellent. So that is now done. And we can see how those texture coordinates are helping just by demonstration. I'll just select the wood object, go to Edit UVs and UV Texture Editor. And you can see that this face has been made to have coordinates so that it is matching this image in this way. So it could be slightly different, and we'll have a slightly different result. So that's all organized. So getting your coordinates ready for texturing is kind of part of the modeling process. So that is great. You probably want to do a little interim save here. And I'd suggest that you save it as Goodnight Lamp A, just in case Maya, which does happen, crashes. So just going to call it Goodnight Lamp A. And then we're going to look at just refining this perspex a little bit more, because if we look at our reference, you can see it's not a completely sharp edge here or a completely sharp edge here. Pretty sharp here and there, but not at the tops and the sides. So we want to fix that. So first thing we'll do is we're going to delete this bottom face. We don't need it. So go into face mode. I'm going to click on this face here, and then I'm going to hold Shift and double click on this face here, and we'll make a selection between the two all the way through, and then delete them. So with that done, let's get into object mode now. Into the same circumstance with just a point light at 1 inside of here, and the IPR renderer doing its thing. There's a crash. Okay, so back to where we were. Sorry about that. So specular color we were setting to 0.1, and reflectivity was going to be to 0.05, super shiny, and then we were putting some blur over in the mental tab on that reflectivity. Great, and we've deleted our inside faces now, so that when we do a render, do the same sort of setting as before, and we can turn on our renderer. We'll get a much better result. So we'll look at this in more detail. So that's why I deleted that inside face. So let's do some proper lighting now. So I'll just do another save. So we're going to create a point light, and we'll put it in the middle. So this is just to have another close look at our materials. Give it an intensity of 200 and some decay, quadratic. Shouldn't be anything new. We'll create a ground plane, so polygon primitives plane, and just click create, and that's that. Now this is coming up very dark because we need to be in a linear, want to be in a linear lighting workflow. So if you don't remember how to do that, refer to one of the previous tutorials, but just go to color management here. We're going to be inputting into our viewer a linear image and displaying the sRGB. The reverse is going to be true over in terms of what we're bringing in. Textures are going to come in an sRGB color space. Default output profile will be linear, and then we'll just make sure we're working over in the frame buffer and for 16-bit channels. Brilliant. So now when I render again, we should get a better looking kind of result, and particularly if you have a look at with final gathering on, that'll boost all this light significantly. So you probably will find I've just done really low final gathering settings, just made the settings 25. So you will need to tweak these values depending on the size of everything in your scene. You know, maybe this for me needs to be even stronger to get a decent result. And I'll show you some examples before we do that. So that will give you that translucent kind of effect, particularly if your light's got a bit of color in it. And just have a look at our wood. So I'll just create just a directional light to have a look at that. Something low, 0.08, just to kind of fill the scene a little bit, and get an idea of what's going on. Right, so that's ballpark getting that. So what I suggest you do now is, I'm just going to delete these, so save your file, is I'd like you to apply the same methods that we've done, just use, to create the slightly different second lamp. So we can have a look, we can construct it in the same method as before, but if you recall we deleted the floor before we did some extrudes. That's your hint. So it's going to be a very similar process, and apply your materials, and then you can go ahead and doing some lighting. I'll show you my lighting file. What was this one? And just to give you an idea, so I use some volume lights, which we've already looked at as being useful lights for the entire inside lights, and just some fill lights for the background image, trying to match what I'd like you to try to match if you're going to do some lighting is this night lamp 6 image. It's a nice looking image. Just do a real small render here, as you can see. So it's cover quite so much area. So that's looking reasonably close and nice, and a good modeling / lighting exercise for you. Right, thanks for watching.